everyone, in this week's video I'm turning my art into enamel pins with GSJJ. I love enamel pins, I think they're so neat, and many artists turn their art into enamel pins. It's always been something I've wanted to try, but I was always a bit intimidated by the process. But when the company GSJJ offered to work with me on creating some enamel pins, I was very excited. Also, I'll try my best to explain about the pins and the process, but this is all very new to me, so sorry if I get some info not completely correct. But I've tried my best to do my research and find the correct information. So a little bit about the company GSJJ. It has more than 20 years of experience in manufacturing, factory direct prices, no minimums on custom pins, and free shipping to the US, UK, CA, and AU. GSJJ has all kinds of different pins and pin customization options, as well as many other products like lapel pins, enamel pins, patches, PVC patches, ornaments, keychains, wristbands, all kinds of things. They even have an online designer that you can use to design your items if you aren't super artsy. When I look at pins, I most often like hard enamel pins, so I'm going to make those kinds of pins, and since I draw, I'll be drawing my own designs. I started by looking through my pre-existing art to see if there was something I made before that I would want to turn into a pin, and I thought this art of my original character would make for a cute enamel pin. I actually designed this to be a wooden pin, and I'm still waiting for those to arrive, but I thought it would also make for a cute hard enamel pin. This design is pretty simple since it was for a wooden pin, but to make it ready to be a hard enamel pin, I need to simplify it even more. As you can see, the coloring has some gradients and some parts of my line art are left open. So to convert the art into something that would work for a hard enamel pin, I got rid of all the soft shading and also closed the line art for the mouth. That way the mouth could be filled in with pink enamel. Generally, you have some kind of line art separating all the colors because the line art is going to be the metal of the pin. But you may notice that this yellow color and the whites of the eyes have no line art around it. And that's because those areas will be screen printed onto the pin. Screen printed colors are printed on top of the pin, so it's different from the enamel filled areas that require line art. For my second design, I wasn't totally sure what I wanted to draw. I knew I wanted the pin to feature one of my characters, but I wasn't sure who. I was thinking of drawing a character from my webcomic, but I couldn't really think of a design that would be super interesting. And then for some reason I remembered about my OC Owen. He's in the same universe as Raylan and my two new characters, Candace and Sullivan. He is a very tall wolf character, but he's also kind of a big scaredy cat. And I'm also a person that's often scared, so I thought maybe it'd be funny to have a pin of him and the little thought bubble says, "I'm scared." I drew him in a super chibi form, that way things stay really simple. The trickiest part of the process was the words in the word balloon. I was having a hard time deciding how I wanted to lay out the words, and I had to try a few different layouts. So once my art was done, I submitted it to GSJJ for them to process my art and make it into a pin. And here's the mock-up they sent me. So as you can see, Pariah's pin will be 2.5 inches and Owen will be 2 inches. The metal will have a black nickel finish. And here we have the Pantone colors. If you don't know what Pantone is, basically it is a system for matching colors. You can buy a Pantone swatch book and then tell the manufacturer which Pantone colors you want. However, I do not have a Pantone swatch book because they are expensive. So in this case, I was relying on GSJJ to match Pantone colors to the colors of my art. I was a bit nervous about this, but based on the mock-up, things looked like they would turn out okay. Oh, also here we can see the areas that will be screen printed. So Pariah's hair highlights and white area of the eyes will be printed on, and Owen's hair highlights and blush will be printed on. Also, these are examples of what the back of the pins will look like. After I approved the mock-ups of the pins, they went into production. I was told they went into production around July 6th, and they arrived to me around July 25th. I don't totally remember what day they came, but it was around that time. So they arrived really quickly. I know sometimes it can take a really long time to receive your pins depending on the manufacturer, but in this case they came really fast. So here are the pins. They arrived in a cardboard box and they were wrapped in bubble wrap. They are also in a large bag, and each pin has its own tiny bag to prevent them from scratching each other. And I have to say, I am amazed. It's so neat seeing my art as a pin. They turned out so cute and the colors actually match up really well. Like I said, I was really nervous that the colors would be really off, but GSJJ did a great job matching the colors. So I am really happy with the pins, but now I'm going to sort through the pins and grade them. A lot of times artists that sell pins have different grades for the pin, like A, B, and C. Each artist has their own criteria for grading pins. For me, if there was a fairly noticeable defect in important areas like the face, I would mark it a B or a C depending on how obvious the mark was. Like for several of my pariah pins, she would have defects in the screen printing of her eyes. And like for this one, Mr. Froggy had a mark on his face. But if there were just smaller defects in less important areas, like sometimes there would be little marks in the screen printing on the hair, but that didn't bother me as much since it's not as important as the face. And some people might be thinking the pin should be perfect, it shouldn't have any issues for it to be an A grade. The thing is that very few pins end up being absolutely perfect, and this is true for pretty much any manufacturer you order from. So that's why many artists will allow for small defects in the A grade. I did notice that for many of my pins, the defective areas would be in the screen printed areas, so the colors that are printed on top of the pins. Like Owen had this mark in his cheek, and he would sometimes have little marks in his hair highlights. But for the most part, all of the filled in enamel areas would be totally fine, but I kept having little issues with the screen printed areas, and I'm not totally sure why. Also, I do recommend wiping the pins with a soft cloth. Sometimes little specks and smudges will come off if you wipe them. After sorting through all 100 pins, I ended up with 18 B grade pins and 1 C grade pin. And I was very pleased with this. I didn't get any pins I felt like were unsellable. So the fact that 81 out of 100 pins made it into the A grade is a very good ratio, I feel like. I've heard some artists have a really bad time with manufacturers and like a ton of their pins will be C grade or below. So I was very glad that most of my pins were A grade. So yeah, these are my pins that are made with GSJJ. I am very happy with how they turned out. And like I said, it's so neat seeing my art as a pin. It's something I've wanted to do for a very long time. Also, I do hope to sell these sometime in the near future, and I will keep you updated about my plans for these, so be on the lookout for that. I have links to GSJJ's site in the description and pinned comment if you want to check them out. My experience with them went very well, so if you're looking to make enamel pins or other products, I recommend checking them out. So that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all on Saturday for my usual weekly video. Bye!